As someone who's owned an auto parts business for over a decade, I've seen what truly holds up, and this 10-year-old Toyota Corolla checks all of the right boxes: reliability, low running cost, and a drivetrain that you can trust long term. Except maybe one thing, and that's value. Just stick with me because I'm going to explain exactly what I mean by that in this video. This is a 2016 Toyota Corolla, and visually it's aged surprisingly well. You have this sharp angular front fascia and these wheels that look surprisingly modern for a 10-year-old vehicle. There's not really any dramatic styling language here. It's not trying too hard. Toyota just leaned into clean and simple lines. And that's why this Toyota Corolla and many other Toyotas still seem very current today, thanks to that design style. This blends into a parking lot without looking like an old beater. But you see, that's where the story gets kind of weird. Because this car is 10 years old and still looks very modern, it still holds up mechanically and it blends into everyday normal life, the value conversation is where things get thrown out of proportion. You see, it's a good thing if you already have one of these cars and you're gonna wanna watch this video and bask in your Toyota Corolla that's quite expensive for what it is. But if you're looking for one of these, you can find one for a reasonable price, but it's going to take a while and it's going to be a frustrating search. Now, visually, it looks like an $18,000 car, and there are plenty of them that actually do sell for that amount. Now, of course, you can get them for less, but the real question is it worth it? Inside this 11th generation 2016 Toyota Corolla, it's the same story. This is a clean, simple, functional cabin that I would even consider to be above average, especially for a car in its class. The type of material that Toyota included, like the material on the dashboard, on the passenger side, on the driver's side, all around, even the way the steering wheel feels, is actually above average for this type of car. And we're sitting in it 10 years later, and all of it seems to have aged very well. I can tell this car was used very heavily, and the interior is still in excellent shape. I really do think Toyota goes out of their way to give their steering wheel a premium feel. Even in the Toyota Corolla, this thickness right here is where it really seems to feel premium over other brands like Honda or Hyundai. Now, other brands do seem to go for more of a sporty feel. This doesn't have that sporty feel, but I do think this fits right into the market, providing a premium feel for an economy car. You have simple gauges, simple AC controls here, where all of them are just physical buttons. There's no touch screens. You have a nice infotainment system. This doesn't have CarPlay or anything, but I know it can be upgraded. There's going to be a link in the description for a system that will give you all of the features that you would like in your 10-year-old economy Corolla. The door panel is all plastic except for where you lay your arm down. That is ideal, though I don't rest my arm in that area typically. I typically rest my arm on the higher end of the door panel, and it doesn't have the padded material. I kind of wish it did, but it's curved just right to allow your elbow to lean on that area just right. These interior HVAC slightly resemble the Lexus LFA. It's kind of retro, but it's also modern, and it fits right into this interior. You have your volume buttons here. This car does not have cruise control. You can select your menu options and change your volume, which is actually really good. You have all your power windows, all your power mirrors. You have your cup holders and a nice little cubby that would fit a phone or two. And you have a USB port and an auxiliary. You have 2 additional blanks for anything additional you want to put in here. You have room for another cup holder or a bottle in the door panel. Nice. These things are not in good shape. These things, some broken stuff here. I think this is the most ideal material you can use for a visor. These ones will last a long time, and here we are 10 years later, and they don't have any wear at all on them actually, besides the fact that you need a screw and the visor hook is damaged. There's a lot of room back here, and I've sat back here before in an Uber and Lyft, and it feels great. The door panel material is going to be the same as the front, and there is no light back here. There is the center light over here. There also is no armrest, and that's it. It's standard. You do have a, what is this? Oh, you have some cup holders. These cup holders are a little flimsy. I don't know how well I would trust them, but they seem to be functional. Otherwise, the rear is very economical, but spacious.
The rear seats fold 60-40 split, which I love. The trunk has 13 cubic feet of space, which is a lot, and it has a spare tire, which I absolutely love. This is Toyota's 1.8 liter 2ZR FE motor. It's basically Toyota's set it and forget it engine. It makes 132 horsepower and uses port injection, so no direct injection carbon problems. And it's a simple proven setup without a turbo or any complicated nonsense. Compression is 10.0 to 1, and it's a lightweight aluminum block and head design with cast iron cylinder liners. It's durable where it counts and light where it helps. Now, fuel economy depends on the trim and transmission, but generally they all seem to get around 30 miles per gallon city and 40 highway, some more and some less depending on the trim and the transmission. As far as the transmission options go, there's the 4-speed automatic U341E like the one in this video. It's old school in a good way, it's smooth, simple, and proven, and most other automatic trims got the CVT transmission, and there was also a 6-speed manual if you want to keep it classic and fun. So this is a whole vibe basically. It's a simple drivetrain, excellent fuel economy, and low stress ownership, which is basically the entire Corolla brand in one sentence.
There's a special advantage that the 11th generation Toyota Corolla has, and that is this is the same engine from the 10th generation, the 2009 to 2013 Toyota Corolla, and it's even more special because it doesn't have a lot of the modern car nonsense. Even though it is a modern car, things like a turbocharger or direct injection, none of that with this engine. Timing chain drama, none of that with this engine. Head gasket problems, nothing. Nothing at all. This is actually a really stout engine. The most important thing you need to know about this one is to change your oil, and this will outlast the car. That's the only thing that you need to do to keep one of these engines running. While it's not a fast engine, it is something that won't break your wallet like other economy cars, like the Kias, for example. Unfortunately, this is not an unfortunate story. Some of the previous 2ZR FEs had problems with the ignition coils, where these were resolved for this generation, and you might still experience some of them with these, but it's actually not the worst case scenario. You can see the coils are right on top, and actually replacing them, anybody could do. You don't need any mechanical experience to do that. I recommend Denso ignition coils. You can find them online, and you can also find them in the description if you want to support the channel. This is just like earlier generation Toyotas that don't have a lot of the modern car problems. If you feel like Toyotas are just all hype, well, this is a reason why. There are other Toyotas that are overhyped and don't really deserve the reliability record, but this one is not one of them. This one does. But for all of the positive remarks that I have giveth, I shall take it some away, starting with water pump failures. Now, I could have excluded the water pump like I did with the 2GR FE Toyota Highlander, but really, I kind of find it scraping the bottom of the barrel when we're talking about common problems. But yes, it is something that owners do talk about. Water pumps do seem to fail earlier than you would want in one of these cars. Though it's not the worst thing in the world, water pumps have to get replaced at some point. You might end up replacing the water pump on this 2ZR FE a little sooner than you would on other vehicles. Another thing you'll see is the engine mount failure. This is actually really common, and in fact, I think this one actually does have bad engine mounts. You get this really loud rumbling. You'll get a lot more vibration than you would typically expect from any car, and it's gonna be louder. This one actually is quite loud. I do think it does need engine mounts. It shares almost the same engine mounts as the 10th generation Toyota Corolla with the 2ZR FE, and I've sold quite a bit of these. The mount in particular that will fail before the other mounts will be the very front right-hand mount. This is the oil-filled mount that will wear and sag as it ages, and once the oil leaks out of it, you'll notice it, but very gradually. It won't be like a blown tire or a check engine light popping up. It'll just be the car's getting louder and louder every other week, and I don't know exactly what it is. Well, you're gonna want to check your front right engine mount. That's the first one. Then the rest of the engine mounts are also something that you'll want to look into changing and replacing. It's not really the hardest job in the world, but the rear mount might be a little bit of a challenge. I did do the engine mounts in the 9th generation Toyota Corolla, which is very similar to this, though the parts are all different. The right hand, the front, and the transmission mount aren't necessarily the hardest things to do, but the rear one was a challenge getting in and out. That was really the biggest challenge of replacing these engine mounts. If you do it yourself, you can get them done for a very low price. And if you take it to a shop, well, it'll be mildly pricey, but it will still be well worth it. Another problem that you'll see with these are PCV valves getting gummed up. Not really the worst case scenario either. You'll just want to make sure to check and replace your PCV valve periodically. I actually recommend to replace it every 4 or 5 years or so. I just go ahead and replace it. It's really not that expensive of a part, and it's not that hard to replace. If you have the K313 CVT transmission. There are some negatives, but not any major failures with that transmission either. Even though it's a CVT, and I know people are going to want to criticize the CVT, it's actually reliable. This isn't a Jatco transmission story. These are actually built very well. The only thing you're going to want to do is change the fluid on time, because old or degraded fluid will lead to a number of problems. First one is shutter on takeoff. It's kind of annoying. It's not catastrophic unless you ignore it. Just change the fluid. You might hear a whining from the transmission. That's also kind of normal, not really fluid related. A lot of owners express concern when they hear this noise, but it is totally normal. Also, the CVT is very laggy. When you floor it and you're trying to get more power out of it, sometimes it will hesitate and wait before it decides what ratio it wants to set the CVT transmission at. So that's just normal with the K313 CVT transmission. However, outright failures, this doesn't have that. This is actually built very well. I recommend to change the CVT fluid every 60,000 miles or so, even though it says lifetime fluid. If you want to support the channel without any additional cost, check out the description. I'll have some CVT fluid there. If you have the 4-speed U340E automatic transmission, that's an entirely different beast. It's slower than the CVT, unfortunately, but it's also more reliable in my opinion. I personally think that the U340E will take much more abuse, even though I don't recommend it. It also has lifetime fluid, which I don't recommend. If you want to change the transmission fluid, I recommend every 60,000 miles, and you'll also check the description. It's a 4-speed automatic transmission used in the previous generation Toyota Corolla, and this makes it as reliable as an old 90s Camry. It was only used in the earlier 11th generation Toyota Corollas from 2014 to early 2016. After that, they stopped using it in all of the automatic transmissions that were CVT transmissions. There is also a 6-speed manual transmission if you're like me and you like the manual transmissions, and that transmission, as you would expect, has no common problems. There's typical throwout bearing noises, which is just regular wear and tear with a manual transmission. That gets replaced every time you replace the clutch, every 100 to 160,000 miles, depending on how you drive the car. And there's some complaints of first to second gear shifting notchiness, which is not too unusual with a lot of different manual transmissions, but outright failures, nope. Dead solid reliable, and it is a transmission that would probably outlast both of the automatic transmissions that was offered in this car.
One thing worth mentioning is there have been reports of head gasket failures on some of these engines, but this doesn't really appear to be a fundamental design flaw. A lot of these cases seem to be more related to overheating or low coolant situations. This 2ZR motor isn't very forgiving if it gets overheated, so if you have the water pump leak issue or some other cooling issue, don't ignore it. Catching it early makes all the difference. Now, if you're looking at the Corolla LE Eco, that uses the 2ZR FAE engine. It's based on the same 2ZR design, but it uses a different cylinder head with Toyota's Valvematic system, which continuously adjusts valve lift for better efficiency. The downside is that the Valvematic actuator and controller can fail, and when that happens, repairs can be pretty expensive, especially for a Corolla, often going into the 4-figure range. That's mainly because the system is complex and not very DIY friendly. It's not a common failure, but it is something to be aware of if you're buying a Corolla Eco model, especially since most people choose these cars to save money. Outside of that, this Corolla is refreshingly simple. You may see timing cover oil seepage over time or the occasional leak from the oil pressure switch in the same area. As far as suspension goes, it's pretty normal stuff. Lower control arm bushings and sway bar end links typically show wear at the 100,000 mile mark, which is to be expected. Inside the car, the interior holds up well. There aren't any widespread dashboard cracking or disintegration issues like some of the older Toyota models. The dash materials tend to age very nicely after 10 years. Things like blower motor resistors can fail, and in some early 2014 models, they had door-lock actuator problems. You may hear some interior rattles, which is typical for an economy car and not really unique to Toyota. On the exterior, lighter colors, especially super white, can suffer from clear coat peeling on the roof, trunk, and bumper edges. Super white was covered under Toyota's extended paint warranty, so a lot of them have probably been repainted by now, but something to look out for. Other light colors like silver and light blue can also peel earlier than expected, so paint condition is something to check depending on the color of the car. The headlight lenses also seem to haze and peel earlier than you would expect. While headlight fading is normal with age, these Corollas seem to be a bit more vulnerable to it. There's also some recalls that you'll want to verify have been completed, things like the Denso fuel pump impeller recall and the airbag recall. And the last thing to mention, again, for buyers shopping these cars to save money, is that the 2017 to 2019 model years with driver assist features like lane keep assist will require windshield recalibration if the glass is replaced from something like a rock chip. Early 2014 to 2016 models don't have that added cost. Don't let any of this scare you though. Ownership of the Corolla is, for the most part, uneventful, and that's the point. This is a reliable car built to simply just get the job done.
Test driving the Toyota Corolla 2016. This car has the 4-speed automatic transmission. The first thing that strikes me is this dashboard. This dashboard is above average for an economy car. All the materials that they use on it, it makes it feel really good in here. The interior is only so wide for such a small car, but they do an incredible job of making it feel really nice. You know, right off the bat, it really feels like this dashboard is a major contributor to the sound deadening in this car because it rides and feels like an economy car as expected, but it's a little bit quieter. And I think it's because of this dashboard. All this padding really actually contributes to sound deadening. It took a little while to find my seat position on this one. And out of all the padded material that this has, I'm surprised that they didn't pad the top because that's where my arm rests. The way it's kind of laid out, it actually fits your elbow just right, actually. So I don't know, maybe that works for the long run. You know, the car feels kind of typical for a 10-year-old car, but in a good way. You hear typical small creaks and squeaks and rattles, but it's nothing excessive. Oh, it's loud when you get on it. I wonder if that's an engine mount or if that's normal the way a car should be. But it's... Can you hear that? Oh, this engine is loud when you start to put your foot into it. The engine mounts are a common problem with these cars, and so it's possible that can be the situation here, but oh, it's loud. The power, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit faster, has a little bit more power than the R18 Honda Civic, which is well known for not having enough power, or even the HR-V Honda. This car rides standard to above average. The passing power that it has on the freeway is not very good at all. In the city, it's a little bit better, but on the freeway, especially with the 4-speed transmission, maybe the CVT is going to be a little better in this field. So I would actually argue that this car feels better accelerating from a stop than the 2012 Civic with the R18 motor. And maybe the HR-V. The HR-V has a CVT, which does fare a little bit better with performance, but they're both of those Hondas are underpowered. And they are both direct competitors to this car. This car feels a little bit better, it has a little bit more power, and that's a plus. You know, overall, this Corolla is a modern car. It's very reliable, excellent, it feels great, and it has a lot of room. It takes a little while to get used to, but once you get used to it, it really isn't too quirky and it doesn't have too much weird quirks. It feels great. I actually think this is a great choice for anybody looking for a car that's reliable and will last a very long time. This Toyota Corolla is a thumbs up. I like it.
This Corolla isn't here to be fun, it's here to be dependable, and that's a different kind of satisfying. The frustrating part isn't exactly the car itself, it's the pricing, or at least for now that's the problem. Some clean, low-mileage versions of this car are listed like they're something special, with some selling close to, at, or in a few cases, even more than what they sold for when they were brand new. I mean, would you buy a 10-year-old car for more than what it costs new? So here's the move. Shop the story. The maintenance records, the condition of the car, how it drives. A well-maintained higher mileage Corolla can absolutely be a safe buy. They're built well enough for that, so you can keep more money in your pocket while still being able to own a nice car. And when you shop the smart way, you outsmart the entire used car circus.
And so that makes the 11th gen 2016 Toyota Corolla. Engine's gonna get a 9. This is a really, really good engine, and a lot of the problems have been ironed out. It's not perfect though. It doesn't really tolerate overheating and other problems so well, so make sure you're taking care of it the way you're supposed to. If you take care of this engine, it will take care of you. That's just bottom line with this engine. Transmission is going to get an 8. This is for the 4-speed that I'm rating, but the other ones, I'd probably give the CVT a 7.5 probably. And the only reason isn't because they're problematic, but because they all have lifetime fluid. This matters when you buy the car used, because whoever owned it before may have never touched the transmission fluid. So you gotta be ready for that. But 8, it's a good transmission, it's reliable, and it's well built. The suspension is as simple as it gets. The common problems are just maintenance items in my opinion. Things like struts or even strut mounts, or if you're looking at sway bar end links, whether they fail sooner or later, these are parts that all need to be replaced no matter what. No matter what type of car you have. The suspension is easy, it's simple, and 9. Repair costs and DIYable. I'm giving it a 6.5, and this isn't a bad score. The car is just kind of a victim of being too popular. The engine and transmissions all seem to run in the $1,500 range, more or less. Any popular or modern car, just like this Toyota Corolla, you'll see pricing along the lines of that. That doesn't mean all the engines fail. I do think the one in this video has had an engine replacement. That's neither here nor there, but it is on the pricier side. There are some cars on the very, very cheap side, and there are some cars where you can find engines and transmissions for maybe $600, $700 to $800. Well, this one is on the low end, the high $900 range, to all the way up to $2,500, $1,500 more or less. So just make sure you take care of it. That's the last thing you want to be spending your money on. Interior is very straightforward, and it's not very complicated. I think it was brilliantly designed. Though I wish there was some padding on the door panel, I still think it's a brilliant design from a long-term wear perspective. So I'm going to give it a 9 as far as this goes. Remember, we're talking about used car ownership burden and not comfort. But it is a good interior to be. 9. The exterior is going to get a 6. Toyota had problems with the super white paint, and they were excellent in taking care of a lot of these owners and extending the warranty to 10 years. Big kudos and 2 thumbs up for Toyota for doing that. But you're not out of the woods. Remember, these cars are now aging past 10 years, and while white did have defects, other paints do seem to wear faster than other manufacturers. This is just from my observation. I see a lot of these Corollas now with faded paint, and to me, 10 years is, yeah, it's a long time, but as far as modern cars go, not really, because we use cars far longer than that. The average age of a car on the road today has exceeded 10 years. And so while Toyota was excellent in taking care of any problems that arise early on, when you buy these used, you'll have to deal with some paint wear, and that's just the reality of used cars. Hey, thanks for checking this video out. There are a lot more videos coming. I'm going to be working on them right now as you're watching this video. So hey, appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe and like, and leave a comment down below. Hey, thanks for checking this video out, and I will see you in the next one. I replaced it in the one with the, I did the